All right. Good evening, traders. How is everybody doing tonight? Let's, as always, do our audio and visual check. Good evening. Good evening, Lindo, Melvin, John. Yeah, I've always thought about just saying hi to everybody, but it just goes too fast. Um, good evening. You can hear and see me. It always sounds good until I have a guest on, then things tend to just break. But let's just get to it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. As always, we're going to be analyzing the live markets. I typed in the YouTube chat our top step risk disclosure. Because we're talking about the live markets, everything I say is for educational purposes only. We all know, if you've been here before, we have our own agency, and it's up to us to choose whether to click that button. Anyway, okay. That being said, I just need to auto record that. Then I can just start the stream, push record, and it just repeats it every single night. Then I don't have to worry about going over that repetitive intro. I need my own intro. Where do I think it's Jack I need to talk to about getting me an intro for slow markets. Anyway, let's jump into it. As you guys can see, I have the Nasdaq. Let me go back to the Nasdaq. Here's the Nasdaq daily. It's interesting to see. This. Last night was really great, guys. If you remember the trade setup from last night, and we'll go over it. I made my money today in last night's trade, and then again during power hour. I finished the day up about 1,800, 1,800 to 1,900. I'll have to double check. I think it's 1,850, something around there in my live account, and I'll show you the trades. One of them was live during power hour. The other one we talked about during slow markets. If you guys believe that or not, I did have a short Nikkei, or not Nikkei, short Nasdaq that we went over last night, and it worked out pretty dang good. So let's start with it, and then I'll start answering questions because we have some amazing moderators. We just picked up Sarah, who's in the chat. She's helping me out as well as the rest of the team, who's going to be feeding me some of the questions. If I do not get to them, I will try my best to get to them. But here's the daily on the Nasdaq. This is a very ugly candle. I mean, this price action is not looking too great for the bulls. I mean, if we copy and paste this, pretty much this price action, turn it upside down, that's kind of what we're seeing if we copy paste this and put it here, but upside down, right? Where this is starting to look a little bit like maybe a possibility of a pullback for a continuation down. We will see. We had Tesla earnings. That was not too great. However, they had some conversation. I don't know, but Tesla ended up starting. We had Meta come in after the bell, and Meta just sank. They lowered their forward guidance. I don't know. I don't pay attention too much to the details. I just know there was earnings, and it was negative. That's why we gapped down and we sold off, and we're already down below 17,500. But this is not looking too good for me from a bull's perspective. We do have news tomorrow. We do have a lot of news tomorrow. And if we take a look at what we have lined up, everybody knows we have, of course, the advanced GDP. We have unemployment claims. We have, of course, the pending home sales. So it's going to be pretty interesting. We should see some volatility coming into the markets. And then even tomorrow night, guys, we will have the Bank of Japan outlook report and the monetary policy statement, along with the Bank of Japan rate decision. So we're going to also see some volatility during the evening session tomorrow. So it's going to be a very busy day. We're going to have volatility during the day in the New York session, and we will be seeing some volatility tomorrow night. So tomorrow night will be a good one. And then, of course, we're going to end the week off, as everybody knows, core PCE. And yeah, it's going to be a volatile last 2 days. And so I think we're setting up here to either sell off if we continue to get bad news. I didn't like, of course, the Meta earnings, and the market was selling off a little bit. But anything can happen from the price action on the daily. I don't like how we already broke down yesterday's low, and we're kind of hovering down that. And if we start to zoom in, let's take a look at a 60-minute chart here on the Nasdaq. And we'll talk about the trade last night. So last night, remember that trade that we were looking at having a sell limit? So what we were looking at last night was doing a sell limit. Man, I think it was right around 750 or something, and then putting a stop loss somewhere up above here. Well, I ended up getting triggered. I got triggered, I think it was at 41, maybe it was 39. And then I closed out at 680. So I ended up taking this trade. My stop loss before, it was like this. This is the way it looked. And so this is the way I had the trade set up on my own. It worked out. It wasn't a huge trade. It was just one contract. I ended up making like, I think it was I think it was close to $900 on this trade. Yeah, good trade. $900 on this trade. That was my trade for last night. I talked about it. We set it up. I set it up, and then I ended up going to the movies last night and woke up this morning, and that was a pretty good profit. And then, of course, the New York session happened and everything else, as you can imagine. So I'm happy with it. You can see we did run some stops for everybody who was trying to short, and you can imagine if you had your stop loss here, it wouldn't have worked out. But if you had your stop loss all the way up here and you were looking at this support and resistance area, you did really well on the short side. If you was looking at this support to be prior resistance, it worked out really well for you. And ever since, we've sold off, and you guys could see this has been very ugly. I was looking at this to hold and push up into the 700s. It didn't. We got those earnings, and we sold all the way back down to where we broke out of. So this is a key level that I'm looking at. I did miss an opportunity at the open because I was not watching the charts. But yeah, I think that was a little bit of an opportunity where we broke out of this. This used to be resistance. We broke out, and guess what? Resistance becomes support. And sure enough, it looks like it started to become support here at the open tonight. We'll see if it holds. I'm going to continue to watch to see what we do. We're down a lot since we closed on the New York session. So I am actually looking for possibly just some type of a push above 500, maybe some type of pullback, some type of retracement. I'm not sure. I'm going to wait for maybe some type of pattern. I do like a long here, primarily basic support and resistance. And if we was looking at it yesterday, where if we're going to continue to find more bullish momentum, maybe we continue to make higher lows and look to make higher highs. So we will see. The daily chart doesn't make me feel too confident about trying to buy the market because we have a lot of news coming up as well. So usually 9 times out of 10, it's better to just wait, watch, see how it plays out, and maybe just react and not try and look at these higher time frames because of this news and this market volatility coming up. But this is what I'm looking at. I'm really... For right now, I'm looking at this as maybe some type of higher low, and we sold off. We're down at support right here, and we're starting to bounce. So this could be something I am looking at in terms of a cheap trade. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was kind of thinking that this was going to be the higher low, but it wasn't. I'm going to watch it. I don't have a trade set up yet. I'm not fully convinced on if we are going to get some type of a retracement back up into the 500s between now and tomorrow, but I'll keep watching it, and we'll talk throughout the end of the day and go through there. Let me get to some of the questions, and we'll move on to Nikkei. Nikkei, I'm looking at a trade setup, and I think that's going to be something to talk about. I do have something I want to share. But let's get to some of these questions. Coach Dakota, what did you see earlier today in the beginning of happy hour? I'm assuming you said power hour. That made you confident about the play you called in the house account. So, Good question. Let's go back to the Nasdaq, and I feel like that is a very good question. If you guys seen, I traded during Power Hour, and I had an amazing trade setup, and I think this was it. Let me see. Yeah, this was it. This was the Power Hour trade. So here's what I was looking at. And so if you guys seen Power Hour when I was on TopstepTV with me, Andre, and Dobie, this is what I was looking at. And this is why. And I kind of went over that briefly. Let me zoom out. This is where we were at. This is very, very small. And let me zoom out. Kind of exactly what I was saying just a moment ago, right? Higher high, higher high. We broke out of this, and I was originally looking like, I was kind of hoping that the market would sell off all the way down to here. But the next area that I seen us get to, so this is where we were going. I was looking at this, and there was a lot of resistance around here back on April 18th and April 19th. And because we broke out above this, and if there was a pullback, I'm like, okay, this is a reasonable area if the market's going to show resistance acting as support. And so I was looking around, 550s, 540s in this zone. And, sure enough, we did sell down to this. And then if we start to zoom in, so let's zoom in because we have the Power Hour. And so that was the first thing I was looking at. And I was also short gold, and so I wasn't 100% like paying attention to the Nasdaq. However, we had this sell-off this morning during the New York session, and then we immediately rallied. We bounced pretty much around this zone. Let's see. You guys could see it. My head's not covering it. So this is kind of a support and resistance zone that we all see here. This was resistance. We broke out. Resistance became support. We sold off. We came back down in this zone again and rallied up. So what I was looking for was some area for us to hold, and a very basic technical one, right? Like we're sold off. I'm going to look for the market to make a higher low. So here's the low. Let's look for a higher low. Now, this is a very not probable trade, so like it's less probable, but it has a really good risk reward. So when I switched to the chart, I was done connecting and getting everything set up on my end to connect to Power Hour. I had the chart set up just like this, and then I also had a 100 tick chart to the right, as you guys could see on the Power Hour session. And I'm like, well, let's see. Is there a reason for us to bounce? We showed this as the resistance. We broke out. Resistance became support. We were breaking and testing around 600. And I got in at 618. 618. Let me switch. Let me get to my live account. And I did execute it on this Ninja Trader. And so I should have the fills now that you guys will be able to see. So this is what I was looking at. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to maybe wait for a 3-bar reversal. And a 3-bar reversal is a very basic technical pattern. And if we zoom in, the 3-bar reversal would be once the market breaks above the previous candle high. Oh, man. Well, I had it set up. So here's my live account. So the 3-bar reversal is when we break above this previous candle high. Right? So here's a 5-minute chart, and I was looking for this to break above the previous candle high. We went down, we tested, and immediately we broke. However, I got in, as you guys could see, at a really great entry. I kind of front-runned it, if you will, front ran it. I got in a little bit early. I didn't wait for the break of that 3-bar reversal. I got in a bit early, and I'll tell you why. So if I pull up, if I pull up a 100 tick chart, it kind of zooms in, right? Very much like Google Maps, where, let me get to where it was. It was all the way up here. Man, this was a messy Power Hour. Okay, so here we go. This is so remember what it looked like on the 5-minute chart. Or actually, let's do this. I think this will be a little bit better for you guys to see. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Let me see how that looks for you guys. I want to get this set up so you could see exactly what I was looking at, and maybe this will give it a little bit better perspective. This is kind of what I use on, there we go. This is what I use, and this is how my charts look like during the New York session. And so if we go to the Nasdaq, and over here on the left-hand side, this is a 5-minute chart. And as you can imagine, going back to my analysis, that is where we were. Okay, so let me put my entry there. I think it's there. Yeah, there's my entry. And this is where we were, and this is what I was looking at, okay? And immediately I seen this. I seen the support. I said, okay, well, I'm going to wait for a 3-bar reversal. And then over here on the 100-tick chart, I will show you the exact reason why I got in and what I was looking for. So let's see if we could find that somewhere right here. There she is. So this was external, and it's because I executed it on my phone because I was busy getting it set up. So here we go. These charts are exactly even. So over here on the left is the 5-minute. Over here on the right, this is exactly what we're seeing. And so this is a 100-tick chart. And from a technical standpoint, you know, I was trying to get in early. As soon as we break this downtrend, like, that's going to trigger me. That's what I want to use, that there's going to be a sign that we could be reversing, which came, as you could see, boom. Like that was a pretty dang good entry. Like, it's hard to get a better entry than that. As soon as we broke this downtrend, I got triggered in. And sure enough, it came back down. Of course, it retested, and it was just up and up from there. And then finally over in the 5-minute. So the 5-minute reversal was at 6:21. And I'm assuming that this was the 5-minute reversal right there. That's the 5-minute chart. Same as, or there is the 3-bar reversal on the 5-minute. Let's zoom in. So you can see how it's a little bit different. I'm trying to line these up for you guys. So this is the 5-minute. This is the 100-tick. I got in a little bit early. So I was sacrificing, waiting, getting in a little bit early, getting a better price. And yeah, the rest is history, right? We just shot up. I mean, that was a great trade. And yeah, it doesn't always happen like that, but that was what I was looking at. And I'm glad that we were able to catch it on the house account. Let me switch back my other workspace, and we'll get back to slow markets. Let's see here. Okay. Anyway, there was the review. That was an interesting trade, and was me trading during power hour. Now let's get back to some slow markets. Let's get to this. There we go. Okay. Now, Nikkei. Let's talk about Nikkei after I get to some questions. Nikki, did you learn from that apiary fund? They talked about that 3-bar reversal. So, apiary fund, that's an older prop firm that I actually used to work with them as I was 18 and I was doing some coaching. It's an old prop firm there in Utah, and I think they're out of business because we were focusing on Forex, but it's just very basic chart patterns. It's technical analysis. You could find this technical analysis anywhere. 3-bar reversal, right? So yeah. Are you trading your live account from your phone with NinjaTrader Mobile? I have a personal account paper, but no Topstep on mobile. I am trading my live account on my phone, but not NinjaTrader. It's Rhythmic Trader Pro. 3 years ago, why do I like Nikkei? Nikkei is the Japanese market. So this is what we see in front. You guys could see I have Nikkei, ticker symbol NKD. This is the Japanese market. I've been liking to trade this during slow markets because we get some volatility. The Asian market is open, and the Japanese Nikkei does get some more volume and volatility at this time. So last night, if you guys remember, I did have a trend line up here. So this was last night. This was that trade that I was trying to get into. I was looking to buy, and I had this trend line a little off. I did take a loss, and then we ended up rally. I'm looking at the same thing again tonight, guys. Actually really tempting to get in long here. So I'm going to zoom in. And yeah, this is what I'm looking at, right? So let me add some more data and go through this. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to adjust this. I want to make sure everything, I don't know. This is very hard. I mean, actually, I'm just going to stay out of this. This looks like it's starting to break down, to be honest, guys. I mean, it looks like we broke this trend. Just visually, it does. Yep, I'm going to pass because this is looking more bearish than bullish than I am. And I'm just visually looking at this. Look, we broke the trend, and we broke down below that. Everyone knows this is one of my favorite patterns. We went back, we retested, and if we continue to zoom in, this is one of my favorite patterns where we break, we retest, and then we have that continuation. Very much like you've seen on the Nasdaq. So I'm looking at this as a break, a retest, and actually a continuation. Now that I'm looking at it more and more, I do not want to touch this, even though we are in a trend. Like, yeah, Yep, I think I'm just gonna pass on this one. As much as I want to buy it, sorry guys. Yeah, like I said, I'm trading. This is exactly how I trade, and there is some indecision, and I'm trying to like walk and talk through my thought process. This is my thought process, guys. This is exactly what I'm thinking. This is exactly what goes through my head when I'm thinking through trading. I want to get long. However, this bullish trend line was broken, and we could see a continuation down. But the other thing that I'm looking at is we had some resistance here, and when we break out of resistance can be support. And so they're not exactly lining up. Am I being too indecisive? Yeah. I don't know if I'm being too indecisive. I don't know about this, guys. I'm going to just watch this. Yeah, True Champion, let's watch this. I don't want to talk myself into a trade. And let's just watch. Let's see how the Nikkei reacts, and if it sets up, and if we see some more structure to go long, then sure. But until then, I think since I'm so indecisive, I'm just gonna pass. Yep, I'm not gonna force it. I think wait for information. Yeah. Sometimes like that's kind of what you have to do. However, we did see the negative side, right? There's positive and negatives about trying to analyze, right? I don't want to overanalyze. I want to either make a decision, get in, get out. That's another reason why I love slow markets, is because I don't have too many decisions to make, and the account's not moving, and the markets aren't moving as fast, right? We've seen that happen during Power Hour, where immediately when I switched to the Nasdaq, I immediately made a decision. I'm like, okay, what am I looking at on the Nasdaq? Okay, let me look at the Nasdaq. Boom, instantly long because I noticed it, right? And then we tried to do a committee trade, and I got filled long on the Nasdaq at 618, and then by the time we finally decided to get long on the house account, the Nasdaq was already at 662. And so sometimes there's give or take, right? Where you either get a better price and you instantly get in, or you wait for more data and you get more confident and then you place the trade. So that's probability versus risk reward. That was a great trade. I love that trade that Andre and we all took together at the house account. It made money. It worked out really well. And Andre got out of that at the top. Like, he got out in the 80s, and that was a beautiful trade. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now with this trade, where it's like, do I get it now? Do I get a really nice, cheap trade where what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking is, or originally what I was thinking is like, I get in here, I put my stop loss like right, maybe somewhere, man, even something as cheap as this, right? Like, I get in here, my stop loss is like there, and then my take profits here, and then I'm getting a really good 4-to-1, maybe even 5-to-1 risk reward. Like, this is a really good risk reward trade. Maybe I even, lower my stop loss a little bit more. Like, this gives me a lot more flexibility, even though the probabilities are less likely because I'm waiting for data. So it's always a battle between probabilities and risk reward. So I'll continue to watch this tonight and during slow markets, and we'll see about it. Coach, invite Rips to slow markets again. Yes, I do plan on having Rips, my trading buddy, on here, but once I figure out the audio, I wanted to make sure the audio is good. You guys seen, I try and plan, and I'm planning on getting a lot more people and guests onto slow markets, but I want to do it to where I feel confident with audio. The last thing I want is to have my trading buddy on here and we're struggling with audio. So there's still a little bit of technical stuff on my side that I need to work out, and then we'll get it. We'll get Rips on. It's going to get more consistent. We're going to have some fun. Did you ever consider placing a buy/sell limit at the same time? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Test. Dakota, hit control line on the chart to line up your cursor with price on both charts. Ooh, I'm going to have to try that next time. How crucial is level 2 data is for your trading? Can you trade without level 2 data? Yes, I trade without level 2 data. I don't think I ever use level 2 data in my trading overall, because I trade on an hourly time frame. And these higher time frames, I don't really need level 2 data. So, but I've been watching it, and I do watch it every once in a while. And Coach Jay uses level 2 data, and he's a really great trader. And there's a lot of traders who trade that. So, yeah, that could have been that reversal right here, guys. That could have been that little reversal that we see here. But anyway, I'm going to stop watching this, or else I'm going to convince myself into a trade. Let's move on to the next one. So here's crude oil. This is the daily on crude oil. Everybody knows I'm a bull. I did miss a long opportunity today. However, something that I did not mention yesterday, and it's something that I'm actually getting a little bit excited about in terms of from a bull's perspective, is this, right? We did break out of this resistance. We broke out. We've pulled back. We're right back into this zone, and this could very well be the pullback making a higher low, right? Because if we're looking at from a technical standpoint where we're making these higher lows, this could be a higher low. And do we see a continuation up into these higher 80s? Like, this is something I'm looking at from a pure technical standpoint, where we pulled back. We're finding a lot of buyers here around 82, this 82 level, and we have that possibility for a run higher here in crude oil. So that's something I am looking at tonight and going into the end of this week. And so if we start to zoom in, let's go ahead here. Let's zoom into a 60-minute chart. So that was a daily chart, and this is now a 60-minute chart. And so you guys remember the analysis from last night where we were about right here, and I'm like, I don't want to get short. I don't really want to get short. I would rather wait for a pullback. We got that pullback. Unfortunately, this happened while I was sleeping, and that was a great trade. If we got that pullback, take a buy, that would have, I mean, that's a good trade. If we were to be able to getting long around this resistance that became support, that was the trade. One option that we could have done to take advantage of it was the exact same thing we did to short the Nasdaq, right? And that's to set a limit order. So the trade was to put a buy limit down here and, maybe stop loss somewhere down here, take profits back up in that area. I mean, it depends on if you would have got out of it, but we did go all the way back up to clear up to 83.50s, right? So that was a great trade if we would have taken it. That we could say that with all the time in hindsight trading, right? So yeah, I think the same thing applies right now. I'm actually looking at taking longs here in crude oil. So how am I going to be able to do that? How can we take advantage? I mean, we're still kind of in this pullback mode here on crude. We do know, and I do know that crude loves to run stops and then rally. So maybe this is something I look for, is we have a nice run for stops and then we rally on crude. But if we do run stops, where could we go to? That is always the question, is where would we want to put a buy limit? And I'm honestly thinking, man, dare I say 82? Like if we do go, do we see 82? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's something to take into consideration, is if we do get a nice sell-off, maybe down towards 82, then looking for a push higher, because I want to get long. To me, I'm considering this a pullback to see if we can do exactly what we're talking about, is make a higher low, which we're kind of doing, where we pushed and we broke and we made a higher high. Do we make a higher low somewhere around here? That's what I'm going to be looking at. One way to do that is just put a buy limit down here, have a stop loss, and then we could get a really good risk reward. This is an example of a trade that I would put and I'll leave overnight. I'm liking these 82 levels if we do make a run and find and get some stops. All right, let's get to some more questions. Let me bounce back over to the Nikkei first. Yep, there's Nikkei. And let's get to some more questions. Let's see here. The pullback is not complete yet. Tanya M, 8208 to 8194 is the NWOG. It can fill. You generally have higher win rate in that case when you scalp in and out like that, Alan. In a bearish NQ cheap trade, just going through some of these questions. What's your main time of hours to trade? So slow markets, everybody, this is slow markets. This is my main time to trade. Everybody who's been here knows my story, where I had a day job, I had school, I had commitments during the day. I'm here in the United States, and it's daytime during the New York session. And if you can't trade the New York session, then we find another time to trade. And the markets are open. This is the Asian session, and this is where I learned to trade right before I go to bed. So yeah, this is the style of trading I primarily like, and I do trade. So this time, wherever you're at around the world, right now, when I start my slow markets class, it's 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And yeah, this is it. You guys are watching it live. And the purpose of me having this slow markets class is to show you guys this is a trading style and you can be successful, right? And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you guys who is in a similar situation. Yeah, that's why you're here, Gaston. Are you looking at gold? Yeah, we'll look at gold here in just a minute. I'm going a little bit quick. Time goes by quick as well. We're already just past the halfway mark, and we'll get to gold in just a moment. At Dakota, why do you see an entry at 82 for CL? You didn't point out points or support and resistance at that price. And this is okay. So the reason why I said 82 level is there is some support here, right? There's some support here, here, and we could go through and show that a little bit. Or even if we want to zoom into a 5-minute chart, a 5-minute chart kind of breaks it down a bit more, right? So here's a 5-minute chart, and yeah, we could start to granulize it more. This is just the first level I was looking, 82. It's also a good round number. We know that levels are not exact, so it's not easy to say 82 exactly. I'm looking at this more as a zone, and you could, I mean, if you wanted to, you could go in and find all the little support and resistance areas. So this is the first zone. The second zone, of course, is going to be around 82.40, and you could do the same thing, right? There's a lot of maybe some support and resistance pivots, however you want to mark it up. And so these, I mean, to me, I'm looking at this. It's starting to get really ugly here, but to me, I'm looking at this as two key zones, you know, around 82 and then around 82.40 in here, right? And that's my preference. Then there's, of course, another one up here higher in the higher 82s. But if we do sell off, that's a little bit too close. And I feel like if we do sell off, maybe we can make a run all the way down here. Will we get there? No, maybe not. But if we do, I will definitely try and take advantage because that would be a cheap trade. That will give me a decent risk reward getting into oil. So let me get rid of this. It's just a pet peeve of mine to get rid of all these chart drawings. So there we go. Okay, Nikkei. Everyone's talking Nikkei. I mean, nothing's really happening on the Nikkei. I already talked about it. Yeah, we're not really moving anywhere. Let's go. Let's get to a couple more questions, and then we'll start talking about gold. The beautiful gold. I do see a little bit of a trade setting up here on gold, and we'll talk about it. Okay, what time windows do you consider Asian session? Asian session, I mean, you could Google and find the exact hours. I consider the Asian session anytime between 7 p.m. Central and 2 a.m. Central. That's what I consider the Asian session. And then we go to the London. London opens at 2 a.m. Central Time. I do not sleep because of you. All the way from Nigeria. Wow, Cells. Well, I don't want to be getting into your sleep schedule. And sleep is a lot more important than listening to me. That's the great thing about us being here on YouTube because it's recorded. And you could always watch these recordings. And I love that because I don't have to go through and post it in Discord. It's all saved here on YouTube. Winston, this is a good question, guys. How many accounts did you blow before becoming profitable? I probably couldn't count how many accounts I've blown. On my personal live accounts, I've blown, I know the dollar amounts. Like overall, it's probably closer to, man, it's probably closer to, dollar amount, it's close to $120,000 of my personal live money that I've blown. But in terms of number of accounts, I mean, split that up between 5 or 6 accounts. Here at Topstep, I've blown through a few combines. Mick, you've heard Mick rip me up. I've blown through not a ton, not like hundreds and hundreds, but I've blown through quite a bit of combines, and I've blown through, I think, maybe Sarah probably could pick that up. She knows the stats. I don't. 6 XFAs here at Topstep. I've went through like 6 XFAs. Yeah, trying to develop a strategy. And I'm also, and here's part of it, is I'm trying to prepare for Topstep Trading League. Topstep Trading League is in fall. And what that is, we're going to have trading teams, and we're going to compete against each other and probably be going down to Vegas in the fall and compete. And in order to do that, I want to trade during the New York session. I'm used to slow markets. I'm a good slow markets trader. I'm trying to get used to the New York session, and I'm not going to just jump in with a live account. I went through and I've blown some practice accounts, and I've blown some XFAs in the New York session, and I'm starting to get used to it. He didn't say 120K on combines. 120,000 US dollars on my own personal account, not combines. Yeah, so I hope that clears clears up some stuff. Yeah, about the XFA. So I have a question from last night about the XFA. Are they all able to be rolled over into your live account continuously? So John, let me answer this and we'll start talking about gold because I have some interesting stuff to say on gold. So yes, if you trade in express funded accounts, the risk managers will evaluate each express funded account individually and determine if they will be moved to live. If you have 3 express funded accounts, they will look at them individually to see if they can be transferred to live. If you copy trade, then obviously the statistics are going to be identical and they'll move all 3 of them to live. And so, yes, the way I did it, I copy trade and I got all 3 moved to live. And now I'm trading a live account. I don't have any XFAs other than my coaching. I have my coaching combine that I don't pay for and that I could just place trades and play around with. And then I'm also playing around with Topstep X. I'm trying to get more involved with Topstep X. I'm like, I always joke with everybody. I'm like my grandpa. You know, it's like technology. I'm just trying to stick with what I'm used to. So it's harder for me to switch, but yeah. Yes, I've recovered what I've lost in the markets. It's been a while, and it was a very long and grinding journey to recover what I've lost. I've made 130,000 in the last 3 months here at Topstep doing this challenge. And I say challenge is I wanted to show everybody that you can do this. So I have been trading for Topstep since January 24th in an XFA. So from January 24th till today, I've made 130,000. Would be cool if there were teams we could see on the website and look at different rankings. Christopher, yes, I do agree. That is 100% my suggestion and what I'm excited to see. I'd love to see the different teams and the rankings and maybe see that on Topstep X and the Topstep. There's so much that I already can see, and I know MP and the team is excited to get to. Just like when you watch your favorite soccer team or basketball team or football team, we'll have rankings, we'll have teams. There's a lot, and I'm super excited for it. Last question. Do you take trade during the news? Do you have an entry? Nope, I will not trade the news. I will trade after the news, not during and not before. So here's gold. Here is gold on a 60-minute chart. And here's what I'm looking at, guys. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and we see a lot of resistance here, right? Here's some resistance here on gold. We broke down, right? We broke down, and guess what? This was support. We broke down, and support is becoming resistance. So this is a key level for gold, right around the 2340, right around 2340s, mid 23. Yeah, this is a key zone, I would say, for gold. Now it was support, and now it's becoming resistance. Everybody knows during Power Hour, I did take a short on gold, and it played out pretty well. I'm looking for the same thing. So I am bearish gold based off of this. Based off this, this is being resistance. However, what I'm looking for is we see 2 support levels. I'm looking for gold if we break down below this, I think we have a chance to come back down and test these lows. So that's what I'm looking for tonight. Now, I could be wrong. We very well could rally and come back up to this area. But because this is acting as resistance, I do believe that if we do start to sell off and break down, we could see some of the lower 3 teens. So like between like this area. So if we do break, that's what I'm looking at. Very similar, like see what happens when we broke this zone for the first time. We broke this zone for the first time, and that was a hard sell-off. And then this became resistance. And so this can very well be that support line again. And if we break down, maybe we see another nice sell-off. That's what I'm looking at going into tomorrow. How to trade that is a different story. And let's talk about how to trade it, because I think that's very important. let me switch to the Nikkei real quick. Oh, there's the sell-off on the Nikkei. See, there you go. I'm glad I didn't take this Nikkei trade. Yeah, that was the sell-off. There's some technical analysis for you. I was not looking at the bearish standpoint, but that worked out really well, where we broke down below this trend line, we went up, we tested it, and we sold off. That was an amazing trade for everybody who was getting short. And I think, to be honest, I think there was even somebody in the Discord mention it. Let's see. There was somebody in the Discord in the Coach Dakota's chat. Man, I am horrible at pronouncing names. So if you're watching this, Sammy U _45, you kind of called this out like 2 hours ago. Said Nikkei broke the 30-minute uptrend with confirmation, likely a retest and a further down move. So huge shout out to them. Like, that's exactly what it was. We broke this, we went up, we retest, and we're getting that further down move here on the Nikkei. So wow, amazing trade, amazing call out. I didn't take it. I was a scared bull, and maybe that was the sign, right? It's like, oh, I'm scared to take a long here. Well, if you're scared to take a long, maybe look for a short. Well, that was the trade. Great trade. That was beautiful. It's just the Topstep Discord. So wherever the Topstep Discord link is, let me see. Is this the link? There you go. Toro's on top of it. There's the Topstep Discord. Yeah, that was one heck of a trade. Anyway, back to gold. So yes, I am bearish on gold if we do break down. So how can we take advantage of it? This is a 60-minute chart here on the Nasdaq, or not Nasdaq, gold. And what I'm looking for is maybe let me make sure. So maybe a sell stop. So this would be a sell stop, right? So what this is saying is I will get triggered only when we break down. So I'd look maybe for a sell stop and then maybe some targets like this. So something like this, and then a stop loss, let's say like this. This is an example. So maybe this is a good example of a good one-to-one risk reward. Making sure this is an OCO, meaning I will only get triggered if the market sells off. It'll trigger me into a short, and then and only then will it go and maybe either hit my take profit or hit my stop loss. This is one way I like to trade. I will set this trade up, I will go to bed, and I'll let it play overnight. So I do like this type of a concept. This has a higher probability, but it's only a one-to-one risk reward. So I like this. I will only be getting in when the market's going in my favor. And this is one way that I do like to trade this. So the next option that I do like to trade is, if we keep the take profit the same, maybe we use a sell limit order. And that's saying if I do believe gold could, have some type of a pullback, maybe we do a sell limit, and then we do a stop loss like this. So this is saying if we rally up, it would trigger me into a short, and then it will either hit my take profit or my stop loss. Now, this is a less probable trade because guess what? The market's going against me, the direction I want it to go, and I get triggered in. However, I do have a higher risk reward. And so that's where I'm talking about risk reward versus probabilities. Now, what I like to do is, this is a 60-minute chart. I like to zoom into a 5-minute chart, and then I could kind of see the zones, like zoom in, granulize it, see the support and resistance zones a bit better. And so immediately I'm zoomed in, and I could start to see that we have a nice resistance zone here. I like that place because we do have a pivot. So maybe something like this. So that seems, so that what this is saying, rallies up, it'll hit this, and then it will turn around and sell off. This is a really high risk reward. Maybe I could get into something like this, maybe 2 contracts, make sure I have 2 contracts for my stop loss, and maybe I put 2 take profits, right? So maybe something like this, where I'm using a sell limit to get into a short rather than a sell stop. So this is a very low probable trade. However, the risk reward's really good, right? You can see I'm risking maybe $2 on gold to make 30, right? 20. So the risk reward's really high. And I would be okay with placing a trade like this, knowing that I will lose this trade 75 to 80% of the time. However, it will still have a positive expectancy because, the probabilities with a risk reward trade like this, as you can imagine, it's like a 6 to 1, 7 to 1, depending on where your take profits are. Anyway, all right, let's get to some more questions. We're coming to the end of class, and we'll go from there. Let's take a look at Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei is just dumped from that level. Let's take a look at Nasdaq. Nasdaq's not really selling off. Crude oil's starting to sell off a little bit. But let's get to some of these questions before going. Danny Kim. How long into your trading journey did you start being profitable? I would say 2 years. My trading journey was very slow because, like I said, I had a job, I had college, I had commitments, and so I couldn't dedicate as much time into the markets as I really wanted to, like it's a job. So 1 to 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, basically, sometimes 30 minutes. Not a lot, but yeah, about 2 years until I started to feel comfortable. And that includes jumping around, right? If I was to stay on one instrument, like say I was in stocks, then I went to options, then I went to Forex, then I went to futures. If I would just have stayed in the futures and focused on futures, then I think instead of 2 years, maybe I could have cut it down to a year till I started feeling confident. But yeah, I'd give or take, right? When I started getting into it. However, I actually started learning about the markets when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And then I didn't start getting serious until I turned 18. And so from when I started getting serious about it, I would say 2 years from then. So hope that makes sense. And I studied finance in college. Yep. Heck, Sarah, you are on top of that. Let's see what else. If you see price action move against you after your entry, do you ever close it out early? Nope, I do not. I will not close out a trade early during slow markets. And you guys you see how I set that trade up over here? I'm sleeping when most of my trades get triggered and closed out. So for my slow markets class, no, I will not close a trade early. However, when I'm trading the New York session, you guys seen me during Power Hour? Yes, I will close a trade early. I tried to do a momentum trade and do what Rips does, but yeah, I sucked at it. I took a loss. I reviewed that, and I should have just got in and out a lot quicker, and I would have made probably $300 or $400. But man, I don't know. New York session is way different than slow markets. Yeah, Nikkei just fell off a cliff there. If you see price action, let's go for a couple of other ones. Coach DBA, would you consider trading on Topstep X platform with micros? Show ability to use micros to attain wins like the minis. Yeah, that's something I want to do, Silent. So pretty much the question is, would I trade micros on Topstep X in front of you guys to show you guys the ability to make profitable trades? I think, yeah, there's going to be a point to when once I'm finished and I'm prepared for Topstep Trading League and feeling more comfortable in Topstep X, yeah, that's a possibility. But essentially, you do the same thing, guys. Like, you could really just do the same thing. Just like the trades you see me talk through and walk through on slow markets or on TopstepTV during the daytime. Instead of a mini, it's just a micro. That's the only difference. Yeah, Rips is a scalping machine. Rips is second to none when it comes to momentum trading. It really is. All right, guys, 5 more minutes left. What else do I have for you? I don't think I have too much else to say. It was just a great day. How about that? Oh, actually, there's one more thing. If you guys caught my statistics last night, let me show you this. Here's my live account. I only made $1,800 today in my live account, but it changed my statistics. So this is where I would say don't focus too much on your daily P&L. Okay, so here's my live account once again. I showed this yesterday, and one day, so we only have one more day difference from where I was yesterday. So here we go. One day, $1,800. And look, it changed my daily P&L. My daily P&L changed dramatically. It changed $50, right? So I would not focus on looking at your statistics every single day. You could become obsessed, right? Every single day you place a trade. Oh, gotta go do my statistics. Let's look at my statistics. Let's look at this. No. You could get really, really just, I don't know a good word for it. Maybe lose your focus, hype. Like, this will draw your attention away from true trading. Focus on your strategy, focus on the process, and then after a period of time, then you look at your statistics. So I do not look at my statistics daily, and I feel like this was something very good to show, where don't focus on your statistics every single day. Maybe I could give a good example is, sometimes I don't even look at my statistics until the end of the month. And I know my statistics in the long run. After the month, I will look at my statistics and see where I'm at. If I focus on process and if I focus on good trading, the statistics will take care of themselves. And then I will look at my statistics and analyze it and say, okay, do I need to adjust something? How is this? How is that? And then I'll make a decision after a longer period of time and I have a lot more data. Michael, Dakota, you take any trades at all tonight? No, I did not take any trades live. However, the two trades that I am looking at is number one, a short gold. So I am looking at a short gold going into tomorrow. I do think that there's a possibility if we break down below this level, we could see a further move down towards maybe, I don't know if we could break the low and get 2,300, but definitely test the low from April 23rd and test this zone, the 2,300 and teens area. So that's the one thing I was looking at. Crude oil, the other one I was looking to see if we do get down towards $82 a barrel. Definitely looking for a long on gold or crude oil. So that's kind of opposite, right? Looking for a short gold. And then if we do start to sell off on crude oil, looking for some long opportunities if we get that pullback. So that is what I'm looking at going into tomorrow. We have some big news. It's going to be a big day tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's where we're going to end it. I do not use I do not use indicators. I used to use indicators. David B, have I ever used Fibonacci's? I used to use Fibonacci's. I don't do that anymore. Maybe just because I've gotten used to watching and knowing the levels. I don't want to say it's like carved into my memory. But yeah, this is a good example. Watch. I don't need Fibonacci's to tell me this level. If I look at a 60-minute chart, I could tell you this is probably around 32% retracement. If we look at a 60-minute chart, we could zoom in and look at this. This is the move. And maybe I've just looked at them enough. Look, like this is the move. That is probably, you know what? This is my guess. This is around 32, 36. This is a zone, 32, 36 level. We all know what about 50% is. So I would dare say 32, 36, 50%. And if we do pull up just like the default fibs here, let's just take a look. Man, how about that? So there you go. That's a 32, that's 50. I mean, you just get it, right? I don't know how I could explain this more and more. Markets are not exact. They're zones. There's that 32, 36, 38 retracement, that's a zone. And then there's 50. You see it, you look at them long enough, it's like, well, it's retraced about 1/3 versus half and blah, blah, blah. So there you go. I don't look at it too often. You trade long enough, you get used to seeing about where things happen, and it's more about the technical aspect from that standpoint. So there you go, guys. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's going to be also a busy one. See everybody.